Welcome to Rogues on the Road. Discovered in 18012, naked and afraid under the deep and unforgiving canopy of Central Park, this indigenous duo sold their share of the Louisiana Purchase, swam to Port Chester, and set up shop with their co-host, the Standby Gypsy. From their humble beginnings, Rogues on the Road has quickly become the longest-running and most popular food and beverage podcast in recorded history. So, sit back, pour a cold pint, and tighten your spray skirt, you ninny muggin.
Welcome to Rogues on the Road. We talk food, travel, adventure, craft beer, and everything in between. You listen to us via Food and Beverage Podcast Network. I'm Rich.
I'm Matt, and in the corner,
No one puts baby in the corner.
We've got
Nobody puts baby in a corner.
the Standby Gypsy.
What's going on, gents? How are you?
Welcome back. I feel like we've been out on the road, and
It's been a few weeks.
it's been a few weeks. A lot's
time.
going on. We've got a lot to share with our fans, and we have a very exciting guest, a dear friend, who has decided to join us tonight. So we're super happy to have her, Rocio La Rosa.
Welcome.
So thank you for coming. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. You a little nervous? You good?
Well, it only took me like a year to get here, right?
Was it a year?
You asked me about a year ago.
Wow. All right, so this is a super special episode here.
She's from Japan. It took her a while to get.
She swam the whole way.
Yeah.
Swam the whole way.
Yeah.
It took
Pushing a
1
car
year.
sucks.
Yeah.
Damn gas rates.
So we have a lot going on. Before
Had
we
a lot going on.
right,
Before anything, I'd like to shout out to all those mothers out there.
Oh, yeah.
Past and present. We know some good ones. We've got some good ones with us here tonight.
Yep.
And thanks, mums.
Yep. We hope
Thanks,
everyone
Mom.
had a
God
great
bless.
Mother's Day and continues to do so. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool.
What have we been up to?
Wow. Okay.
Collectively.
So since the last podcast, we've had a couple of podcasts. We actually had a few that will come down the pike at some point.
Down the pike.
And but we traveled to New Hampshire
We did. We
2
went out
weeks
there.
ago now.
2 weeks ago. We traveled to New Hampshire.
Has it been 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we met up with our friend Matt Becker.
Yep.
Shout out to Matt. He's a good guy.
He's
Great
the best.
guy.
Really good guy.
Matt put on a sold-out benefit concert
For Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
of New Hampshire.
Awesome organization.
Amazing.
They raised $34,000 that night,
Amen.
and
Good for them.
we had a chance to set up our mobile podcast.
Yes.
For the first time, actually the second time.
With our powers combined.
Without they were like united. We got a few good podcasts in, which we'll release at some point, and
Then we turned into cameramen
then we turned into cameramen.
for the British revival bands
Yep.
of New Hampshire.
We're like Transformers. We can
Yeah.
do anything.
We,
Literally.
literally.
And we're getting there. We're
slowly.
getting there. We even we didn't make it out on the boat. Rocio, we were supposed to spend. So we get a call to go out with.
We needed a bigger boat.
We did. We needed a bigger boat.
And a different alarm clock.
Right.
Different time zone.
Definitely.
Right,
Yeah.
That'd be it.
Yeah, that was. We were supposed to meet up with New England fishmongers. Now these guys have cut out the middleman. They go out. They are traditional fishermen. They announce their catch as they come on in, and they sell to farmers markets.
Right.
Brilliant.
You hear
Someone's computer, phone, laptop.
Oh, that'd be me.
Yeah, that'd be you.
Again.
I've done that before.
We need a bell or something
Ding,
Every
ding,
time.
ding.
Yeah.
Where's that sound come from? It's me. It's me.
Okay.
So these guys actually sell their catch at farmers markets. So it's not just produce that you're seeing at farmers markets. You're actually seeing other products available like seafood, and now we're seeing a lot of beef and meat shares and things like that. But
And they're actually getting into cooking their own catches at like local farmers markets.
how
man.
good was that?
I don't do fish. This was good.
Yeah, you're like, I don't do it.
Yeah.
I don't do it. They literally, the catch that they had,
From that morning.
The haddock.
the haddock, pollock,
Scallop.
scallops,
Squad.
scrod.
Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The haddock was fried and to perfection, and it was absolutely
What'd you think
delicious.
of it, Rich?
I thought it was really good, only because they mixed it with sour cream, what was it, pepper flakes,
Yep.
parsley, seasoning,
It was a
mushed
little,
it up, floured it,
Yep.
deep fried it,
deep fried it, had it right
and I
there.
smothered it with tartare sauce,
Yeah.
and it was lovely.
And for the first time, I didn't really put malt vinegar on it.
No?
Didn't really need it.
Malt vinegar is your go-to?
Totally, man.
Really? I didn't know that. Is that up there with the blood orange?
Beyond.
Beyond! What?
Oh, yeah.
We found something beyond blood orange?
That's beyond rich.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm-
I'll do
Really?
malt vinegar over blood orange any day of the week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But on chips, on fish, it is phenomenal.
And
but
smart.
but when it's that fresh, there's not much you need to do with
Yeah.
it.
Hey,
So,
hey, Linda. Linda's in the chat.
hey,
Linda.
Linda. It's Martin.
Morgan.
So we're supposed to go out with this fisherman. We are supposedly heading up, but somebody's backed out of it, and because
Huh?
he can't
What?
make it.
What?
And,
What?
Oh
What?
no, we're going back
Wait.
up. We're just changing our dates.
Oh, we're gonna change the date.
Because we were going to do it the day after of 12 hours of filming. Once we met up with them, they're like, "We'll see you at 1 a.m." We're like, "What?"
The funny thing was that we were taking bets that it was going to be 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning. I think one of us joked around and said 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He legit said 1
Yeah, he
a.m.
did.
They said 1 a.m. They said we'll board the boat. This is a 25-foot boat. 4-hour ride out to the fishing grounds.
4 hours fishing.
Don't worry, you can sleep on the way out.
On a 25-footer.
I'm quoting Captain Tim.
Yeah.
But no beverages the night before.
No beverages. the night
Quoting
before.
Captain Tim's
Right.
wife.
And you fish for a minimum of 1,000 pounds of fish on average, all hand caught.
No.
Good days, they'll pull in 3,000 pounds of fish
It's nuts.
between like 3 or 4 guys, and then they take the 4-hour ride back.
And then
they
we take-
process it that night at a processing plant, goes into coolers, gets sent out to farmers market all over New Hampshire, parts of Maine, probably even a little bit into Massachusetts, but.
Dude, I could see all kinds of bad shit happening after a night of podcasting, drinking,
Yeah,
filming.
no.
Like, I don't know if there's like a almost like a tow truck arm with that picks up everything, but that would have like hit me across the head.
Oh, totally. I'd be like hooked.
Yeah, right.
everyone.
Dropped in the middle of the ocean.
Where's Rich?
Right.
Overboard now.
Right.
Rich is hanging from like
Yeah. I think I caught something.
He's in the marinara trench.
It's a Brit.
the marinara trench.
Isn't that what it is? I don't know. Marinara sauce? I don't know. Whatever it's called.
The marinara trench.
Whatever it's called.
I'd be chumming overboard.
Right.
Like, no, I don't get sneezing.
Yeah, Tracy's drone would have like, I don't know, crashed into somebody.
Yeah, so it was a good idea that we didn't go out.
We're rescheduling.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So that was our last few weeks. We actually have some exciting news. We got a new unit that actually helps us go on the road as far as podcasting, making it a lot easier, and we can actually take. Oh, my mother-in-law joined.
Hey,
Hi,
Miss B.
Hi, Miss B.
Hi, mother-in-law.
Hi, Miss B. All right.
The law of mothers.
we have to keep this clean.
Okay.
Okay.
Good luck.
Okay.
So we're going mobile, and it looks like it's kind of in the makings, but we might be going to DeChico's Markets up in Brewster to do a live podcast and some kind of beverage release kind of event. So that's going to be
We're
exciting.
going to
I'm
be
excited
doing.
about that. Yeah.
We're going to be doing a bunch of live podcasts.
Yep, we'll hopefully be
You may not see us in the studio next time.
live from Ibiza, and Cuca Fresca Cachaça is coming on, so that's very exciting.
Yep.
So be on the lookout.
Could be we'll go home.
Yeah, I told you how to make sauce. Yeah, Linda said that to you.
To me?
Yeah.
She still hasn't had my barbecue sauce spaghetti, and that's okay because she will have it, she will eat it, and she will enjoy it. She will love it.
Yeah, but she wants you to make her sauce. It's very simple.
I think only Linda.
Oh, I could make her sauce too.
Yeah.
Would you call it Linda sauce or gypsy sauce?
If I'm making her sauce, I'm gonna call it Linda sauce. But when she has and tries and enjoys my gypsy barbecue sauce, she will call it gypsy barbecue sauce.
Perfect.
Or not gypsy barbecue spaghetti.
What
excuse
if
me.
you mix the two sauces
No,
together?
no. No.
You said keep it clean.
That's like crossing the streams, Ray. What'd you do, Ray?
Do not cross
What'd
the
you
street.
do, Ray?
What'd you do, Ray?
What'd you do?
Dave O'Sullivan,
Hello, mate.
how's it going,
man.
Dave? Yeah,
fun to do.
the fishing trip, the famous fishing trip that we all shared together. So,
Oh, my
F-fishing.
bachelor party.
yeah, yeah.
And I won the catch of the boat.
You did.
did.
You did.
You have a birthday coming up too, Rich. I do.
Yeah,
It's a big one.
next week.
The big 35.
Again.
Again. Wow.
Second time around is always more fun.
Let's do it.
So, Rocio,
Yes.
thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How do I properly introduce Rocio?
You've known each other forever.
Rocio and I, we've known each other forever.
Yes, we have.
We met through my brother. Was that our first?
I think so. Yeah, seventh, eighth grade.
Yep.
Somewhere around.
Yep.
There.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Yep.
This is
In
like
Chappaqua.
Yeah.
let's
And
go back.
we remained friends throughout high school. We kind of went our own ways after high school and kind of college. We stayed a little bit in touch, and then we didn't chat for years, probably close to 20 years.
Yes, a long time, a really long time. And,
And-
then it was just a miracle the way we
Yeah, it
got
was
back together.
pretty strange.
Did you stay local in those 20 years?
I lived in Chappaqua for 13 years.
Okay.
Then I moved to Mount Kisco. I was there for 13 years, and then I floated all around.
Oh, it's
until I got
pretty
to,
local.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And I thought, so Rocio is Peruvian, I thought you were, for all intents and purposes, I thought you were living in Peru. And one day, somewhere on Facebook, was it on Facebook?
Oh,
That
Facebook.
You said you found me on Facebook.
found you on Facebook, reached out to you, immediately reached back.
Oh yes.
We got together. I was like, oh yeah, you're probably living in Peru or somewhere, not near us.
I'm your next door neighbour.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we'd been running circles around each other for years.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Had no
Yep,
clue.
had no clue. Half hour away, and we met for coffee and
Picked it up.
had a beautiful reintroduction. There were a few tears.
Very emotional.
That's
Yep,
cool.
Very,
many reasons,
Very
yeah.
emotional for many reasons. My mother being a big part of that.
Yep.
And then Rocio begins to tell me what she does for a living, which was absolutely fascinating. And we've all been a part of that.
Yes,
We
we
have.
have. Loved it.
Yeah. So Rocio is a Peruvian shaman, medicine woman, healer, and a whole bunch of other things.
I'm just Rocio.
You're just Rocio.
As far as I'm concerned.
She's so humble.
Just Rocio.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just Rocio.
That's the top of a resume.
How did this all start for you? I'm sure we could go on for hours and hours and hours because it's been a long journey that's continuing
Yes.
today. So just a little bit how you got your start and what it kind of evolved into.
Well, I was aware of having some kind of gift, although at the time I didn't know it was a gift,
Yeah.
when I was about 5.
No.
And it evolved into our teen years. I don't know if you remember. I remember going to your home and we had a little like seance, something going on, but it wasn't because of me. It was one
No,
of you guys.
I remember doing those seances. Bad idea.
Yes, very bad idea.
Bad idea. Just little safety
Yeah.
announcements.
I
Don't-
have to ask, was there a Ouija
there
board
was.
involved?
There
We
was.
did at one
I was
point, I
so
think.
scared.
There
Yeah.
was,
Board.
and it's
I was
scary.
so scared of Ouija board.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Ever since I saw The Exorcist, I'm
I'm like, Milton Berle is a Satanist. Sorry, I'm only joking. It was a joke. It was a joke. Milton.
Who?
Wait,
Berle.
Burl. I said Burl, not Bradley.
See?
okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Milton
see,
Bradley.
it was a double joke.
Yeah, maybe it is. Milton
Maybe
Bradley.
he is.
Yeah.
Milton Bradley. I
Yeah.
don't know. Do you know the history of Milton Bradley? Do you know? No. Okay, I'm just curious. I don't even know if he makes the Ouija game. That was totally.
They still do, and you can still buy it.
Probably.
Really?
You can still buy it.
Yeah.
Amazon?
Different
Don't.
forms, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
don't
not.
do it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Vape.
good.
Cards Against Humanity. That's
Yeah.
what I play.
So you'd come over. We would have those.
Those little things.
Those
going
little
on.
fun spiritual things.
Yeah. And then, long story short, when I was around 15, 16, I had something happen that I saw that I got very scared of, and I shut everything out. I just said, I don't want any part of this. And because of that, I started getting sick. As I found out later on, tends to happen to people who shut out their gifts. And I went through all sorts of things. By the time I was 21, they diagnosed me with fibromyalgia, cancer, lupus, you name it. It was
Yeah.
it was there.
Wow.
and a lot of people don't know actually all of the stuff that I went through. And because of that, I started looking for help because the doctors were not helping me. I went through 11 different doctors, 13 different kinds of medications, and one day I went on the computer when I finally got a computer because I'm very behind. And I typed in alternative medicine, and I was led to my first teacher, who was Lama Lobsang Palden, a Buddhist monk who lives in Ohio.
Yeah.
And he's just a beautiful man. He was holding a ceremony in
I'm actually gonna
Connecticut?
post his website.
Please.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, if you can find him.
Yep.
And at the same time, after him, came up this woman named Dee Savoy. She was my second teacher. I want to say officially, if you would, label it like that.
Right.
Because I've had teachers since I was 5, really.
Wow.
But these were the people that I can recognize actually doing,
Right.
work with. And she was just lovely. And I set up an appointment with both of them. I went to see Lama Lobsang first in a ceremony in Connecticut where there was over 200 people. He was praying for hours, and I just remember at one moment suddenly feeling something lift off of me. And I don't know how to explain it, but I just knew that it was a spirit of a woman who had me in this depressive state for years. And I remember leaving the ceremony, and I called up my mother right away, and I said, "Mom, she's gone." And she's like, "Who's gone?" And I said, "I don't know, but she's gone."
So it was a mental vision of a woman?
No, it was just a knowing.
Yeah.
I really don't know how to describe it, but
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
just a knowing.
Yeah.
And then I went to see Dee Savoy. She's a beautiful healer down in the Bronx. I think she's still down in the Bronx. And I had my first Reiki session with her there. And I just remember, in the beginning, I really didn't feel anything. I don't know, it was the fear or whatever was going on. But I suddenly felt this wave, like literally it felt like a wave come over me. And it was from there that I started seeking. I wanted to go back and find my own roots, which honestly, my parents have been teaching me all along since I was 5. And I remember now my mother taking me to numerous, actually gypsies, to Curanderos, who are it's the Spanish name for shaman. And I was always around people, and I think I blocked a lot of that memory out purposely, and
And in Peru, it's like just normal. That's a big part of life. Being in Peru, you go to a shaman. It's not as common, obviously, here.
What's the definition?
well, we know them there as curanderos. I mean, it's
Okay.
the Spanish name, but curanderos. So there's different definitions for them, but they are, to me, they're the people that really deal with the earth energies. They heal through herbs and prayer. And my grandfather was actually a curandero, and people would call him to do healings on animals and children. And my father and my mother did it too, and my grandfather on the other side. He was actually a brujo and a curandero.
What's a brujo?
A brujo is
Well,
more known
repeat
as a witch, but that's just people that work with magic with really strong, energy.
Right.
Because I want to be, very forward to say that there's good and bad in everything,
Right.
in everything.
Right.
So they did a lot of work, but to help the community whenever they were asked, But it was part of their life. So my parents never sat down formally with me and said, "All right, today's a lesson on whatever, how to work with the candle or something." It's just, my mother would say, "Oh, so you have a burn. Let's use this weed that's outside
Right.
behind you." And
Right.
I just didn't pick up on it.
healings, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. It's very similar to like a Native American,
Right. Traditional-
what you're using, what's around you,
Right.
and
Exactly.
it's been used to heal, and
Non-pharmaceutical.
it's been done that way for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that 100%,
Right.
but it's
An alternative.
a great alternative, or to work alongside traditional medicine.
And at what age, Rocio, did you start realizing, or maybe accepting the connection or the powers that you started noticing that you had?
Hey Dan, hey Beth, hey Danny. Should I say that?
Well, I want to say I accepted it one night. I think my son must have been about the age of 4 or 5. We were stuck in Cold Spring. There was a huge blizzard, and everybody that lived in the building was gone, and it was just me and him. And at the time, he was very sick. He had a great fight with asthma, and one night he developed a fever, and we were trapped. There was no phone, there was no light, there was no anything. I couldn't get his machines or anything going, and I said, what do I do? And his fever had gone up to 104, and I had nobody around me. And I immediately thought, what would my mother do? And I remember she said she used to heal children who had fevers with an egg. And I was like, I have an egg. I have an egg.
I have one of those. I went to the supermarket earlier.
Right. You need this drug, this drug, this drug, this drug, this drug, this drug, and an egg.
Right.
Oh, no, but you need these drugs to counteract the drugs that we just gave you. But if you have an egg,
Scrambled,
not scrambled,
stirred,
Exactly.
Shaken.
lightly poached.
no electricity, mate.
Oh,
Yeah.
true. So what happened with the egg?
So I took the egg, and I remember she said she would just pray. And so I just took the egg, and I started on my son's head, and I started just rolling it around. And I went back to my Catholic roots and started saying the Our Father and certain prayers. And again, I don't know how to explain it, but I felt something shift in him. And I suddenly just focused around his belly area, which is known as the solar plexus. It's where we hold all our worries and concerns. And I just kept going, around and on his entire body. And within 10 minutes, his fever started coming down.
That's amazing.
And I said, okay, I'm going to do this again. Let's make sure it's gone. And after that time, I spoke with my mother, and she started telling me how she used to do this. And my father, repeated the same thing with regards to my grandfather. And then I really began to seek even more, But for me, it wasn't like with other people who go out and they've been fortunate enough to have the money to go and train. I've always been pretty much by myself, and I couldn't go out and train with people. And when I say, like, I trained with Lama Lobsong or D. Savoy or so many other people, it was really more of a, I saw you, twice, maybe 3 times, and then either we've been in connection or not, and I had to piece everything together. But it was really about remembering our roots and being able to allow things that you think are just thoughts to come in that guide me to say, okay, take this pen and do whatever you have to do with it.
And it means everything means something.
Exactly.
Right. And even when so Rocio and I, we go out and we go on a lot of hikes.
Right.
And when we're on hikes together, I've been hiking my whole life, and I've always felt a very close connection to nature. And when we're on our hikes, there's all this really amazing stuff that happens from, great horned owls in the middle of the day flying over. I mean, like really tangible, amazing stuff that happens.
But most aren't aware of.
But most people are unaware of because they don't allow themselves to be aware.
They're not looking for it.
They're not looking for it.
And they're not tuned in, and they don't know the symbols.
Like I can't tell you, it was one of the most amazing things just watching people. I used to commute from Cold Spring to Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
And it's a beautiful ride down.
God bless you, by the way.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here now. But the ride was actually, if you've ever done Cold Spring to Manhattan, it's a beautiful ride down the Hudson River. And I remember sitting on the train every morning. Everyone has their same seat, same spot. The guy that folded his paper in the perfect origami way to read it was that way. I mean, everything was... And I'm sitting out, looking out the window going, oh, there's an eagle.
Right.
Wow. Oh, those are ramps coming up.
Right.
Oh, look at those.
Right.
Oh,
Everyone else is playing Minecraft.
Everyone else. And like, it's obvious that I'm looking and I'm seeing and you realize that these are beautiful signs and beautiful connections to nature. And yet they're so disconnected. And there is such a disconnect to nature on such a scale, especially with technology. It's but I think a lot of people have that, and you've taught me on our hikes to say, okay, well, that actually is a sign. I see it, I acknowledge it, but it actually means it means more than what you think it is, and when you're open to it, it happens more. And it's not like okay. No, it's real stuff, and
Everybody's connected.
Absolutely.
And I think that's my job, is to help people realize that they're connected to the earth and to spirit all the time. We just have lost that connection because, way back when, we all used to do it. We all used to deal with only the earth and look up at the sky and, think whatever we thought of, the sun and the moon and all of that.
And live off the land.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not even, it's living off the land. It's working alongside the land.
Right.
Exactly.
Being within it, one of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a deep spiritual part to that, which you are connected to, and you've helped a lot of people. So,
how did you get into teaching, I guess?
Teaching, what do people
What's on your business card?
I know, what do people come to you for?
Right.
I have a lot of people that come to me who are actually sick because they find out that I have had the fibromyalgia mostly, or other things. But I have a lot of people that come to me that are just starting to figure out that they're connected to either the land or spirit or both. And they just happen along the way to find me. And so I help them to become more in touch with themselves, to be aware of their gifts in whatever way that is. Sometimes I may not know. I just know that I'm taking a stone and I'm doing whatever with them on their body, and all of a sudden they'll come the next day, or they'll call me the next day and say, "You're not going to believe what happened to me last night. I had this dream, or this showed up." People that have never had been through indigenous ceremonies, like a cacao ceremony, despacho, they'll come in for the first time, and they suddenly want to know more about their roots, their ancestors, just how to live consciously, because that's really what's important to me, is teaching people how to live consciously. I would never have thought in 1,000 years that I would be doing this. Really,
I wanted to into
not
real estate.
singing, not doing any of that, because I don't know how I was in high school, Matt, but
You were exactly the same.
really, I just always
Haven't
considered
changed
myself.
With our eggs and our stones.
Except Chris Fayette would keep running after you.
Hey, Chris.
I wanted to ask you, Rocio, because when I was in high school, I remember I got involved in reading Carlos Castaneda. I don't know if you read any of his books growing up. He's a phenomenal writer. He followed a North American indigenous man who was also, I believe he was a shaman, and he was taking, peyote and all these, psychedelic stuff, but on a very religious, on a very high level. And he was a reporter that, I don't know if he walked into it not believing per se, but he just an investigative type of position. And he wrote a series of books during I believe the 60s, that really opened up his mind to the next plane and so on and so forth through an indigenous a shaman.
Gypsy, what was his name?
Carlos Castaneda.
Okay.
I forgot the name of the most famous book is like The Adventures of Carlos Castaneda. But I remember the one thing that I did remember, because it was for me at the time, my spiritual kind of learning curve wasn't too high, so a lot of the words, just going past me, whatever. But I do remember one of the first images he saw humans when he was under the influence of the peyote was he saw humans in egg shape, and I'm just curious of what may be the symbolism of eggs in Peruvian culture, or through the teachings, what is the symbolism of the egg, and is it obviously as an egg, it's new birth, it's life, it's
Right.
is it
You
more
just
than that?
answered it.
I mean, okay, all right.
Ding.
Yeah, ding. Okay.
No, it is, but it's also about purification, purity. It's also a protective shell.
Right.
We have this beautiful aura of energy around us, and this is our protection.
Right.
This is our shell of protection, and it's affected by everything and everyone around you. The colors that you wear affect you. You know, when somebody is in your space, depending on how open your heart center is, you're going to be affected by them. So the eggs, yeah, they're important in most cultures.
Yeah.
Has a lot of different meanings to it, but definitely about, you know, purity and the white, the new beginnings, birthing, creating, because we're always creating something new. Every minute that passes, you know, we're creating something new.
Right. A Separate Reality was the name of one of the books. He's got a whole series.
Yeah.
He's got like 7 books out. The Teachings of Don Juan. Don Juan was, I believe, the shaman who was teaching him, and he went out to like, because I think
Juan, yes.
Carlos Castaneda, I think he was like from New York or something like that, and he was like, you know, beatnik writer of the '60s. He's like, oh, let me go check this out, and he went to like New Mexico. And this guy did the kind of like Mr. Miyagi thing,
The
where
peyote.
he just did the Mr. Miyagi, like, why are you here? Why do you really want to learn this? He ignored him
Yes.
for like a week or whatever it was, and then he finally like initiated him into the process, and then his mind was like completely blown.
That's the way of the old teachers, is really asking, you know, why are you here? Why are you coming? You know, teachers in Latin America, they don't just take anybody. They really want to know, you know, why you're there, because it's something that's very serious. You know, in this society and this time now, everybody wants to be a part of it. Everybody wants to just experience.
They're looking for something different.
Yeah,
Exactly,
They're
yeah.
tired of the old.
Yeah. You know, but it's something that's very profound, and it can affect you and, you know, the people around you in really, you know, unusual ways and very profound ways.
Now we have,
Go on.
we have experienced one of these ceremonies.
Yes, we have.
We've experienced a cacao
Firsthand.
Yeah, cacao
I got
ceremony.
cacaoed.
You got cacao.
I got cacao.
There were a few myths and some people were nervous about, you know, cacao. Like, oh, is it a drug? Is it? Am I going to do? Is something going to
I'm gonna
happen?
hallucinate.
Right, and it's a beautiful, incredible ceremony that makes you feel absolutely amazing afterwards, because it's a spiritual type ceremony.
So is this seen as a religion, like shaman?
No, it's not actually.
Or more of a
Some
gift.
people, a lot of people call it a religion. It's really a way of life.
Okay.
It's just being able to communicate between the two worlds of,
Right.
you know, the living, the dead, the present.
Right.
But it's a way of living. You know,
Right.
there's no right or wrong. There's no dogma. You know,
Right,
no
right.
official,
Right.
you know, books to say this and that. Although, you know, from what I understand, you know, at least here in this country, you know, we have a lot of teachings and a lot of people will follow things by the book. But I think that's because of the way we're brought up here in this country. You know,
Right,
everything
right.
is like you have to have
Textbooks.
rules and
Yeah, yeah,
regulations
yeah,
and
yeah.
textile.
Yeah.
But that doesn't exist,
Right.
not in the Latino community that
Right.
I'm aware of, and you know, if I am wrong, hopefully somebody will teach
Oh,
me
they
about
will.
that too. But again,
Yeah.
you know, most of my colleagues, the people that I work with or around me, they, you know, these are things that they grew up with, and a lot of people actually always tell me that they started around the age of 5. It's just something that, you know,
It's a very influential age. Right.
exactly.
Can you describe a little bit what goes into the cacao ceremony?
Well, in my ceremonies, I try to hold things as organically as possible, so I never really know what's going to happen. But the cacao ceremony, it's drinking raw chocolate, not the raw chocolate that you buy here, because anything that's
Not at
here
Trader
is
Joe's?
packet. Right. I mean, it's good. It's good. I've had it. It's good, but it's not the raw cacao that is taken, you know, in Peru, in Africa, in Guatemala, and other places, and is prayed over from the moment it's a seed.
Are you
know, in
telling
the
me
ground.
Trader Joe's isn't prayed over?
I'm sorry.
I gotta go back and talk to that
Sorry, that's Whole Foods.
guy. Oh, okay. Nice holistic
Stu
food.
Leonard's.
Yeah.
But that and then, you know, so you're gonna drink about in a ceremony 2 ounces, and I just tell people to be open, to allow
Yep.
anything to come in, whether it's a thought, a smell, a sound. And I will, as you've heard me play my drums, my rattles, and I sing. I would never do that publicly anywhere else.
from
But
karaoke.
somehow
But-
Spirit brought me to do that with people, and I do it because
And you do that in every ceremony?
in every ceremony I sing.
And when you're when you are doing your thing, when you're deep in ceremony, it's you, but there's definitely you take on almost a different persona a little bit. Like you can tell there's somebody with you, kind of thing. As kind of interesting as that sounds, like that's you're operating, doing what you're doing.
Well, I think it's because, I just become an open channel, and that's really all I am. I'm not
Right.
somebody with superpowers or whatever,
Right.
because any one of you, anybody who's listening, anybody out there can do all of these things. It's just being open. And for me, it's just about bringing love to everyone that's around me, because my thing is that I never want people to go through the pain that I went through when I was sick. I mean, I am so grateful, to this moment that I did go through it, because otherwise I wouldn't know what other people are going through. I couldn't help them. I wouldn't be able to, relate to them.
And it's probably a very different experience for everyone individually, as everyone's gone through different lifestyles or going through something, their history's different, and if you're opening them up, that just opens up everyone's individual experiences,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
I've been to I think 4 or 5 of your cacao
A
ceremonies,
few of them, yeah.
and each one is different. The only thing I
You
can
take something away differently every time?
every single time,
Right.
and the only thing I can equate it to people that are listening that might, if you've ever done yoga, at the end of yoga,
I'm dead.
for
I'm like, you go, man. Rich?
Every single time.
Yeah.
yeah,
Kills me.
so at
Feels
the
good.
at the end of yoga, you do something called shavasana, right?
awesome.
And it's some people just take it as like, oh, I'm taking a break, right? You close your eyes.
Totally.
And I didn't. I just you end up going into a very meditative state,
And that could be quite emotional.
and it can be quite emotional. And I've had tears come out of my. I'm not crying. I'm like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
tears coming
Yeah,
out.
it's
I'm
not
Yeah.
baseball.
like, what the hell? It's yoga.
Right.
It's not
No
baseball.
crying in
There's
yoga.
no crying in
Right,
yoga.
right.
So a lot of and you go to different places. You have different experiences. Same thing. Like it's an hour. As soon as you drink the cocoa, you lay
Cacao.
the cacao. Sorry,
different.
sorry.
It is.
This
sorry.
isn't Nestle's.
I know. the cacao. As soon as you drink that, we kind of lay out on the mats and you start bringing in music, but it always seems to start to crescendo, the music, the energy, and sometimes it's a little borderline, like it seems like a storm is coming.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely felt that when I was there. I mean, my personal experience was that it just felt like you were everywhere in the room.
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah. And you were over like Rocio, you'd be over there, and then suddenly
Right.
you would put a hand on our head, and you're
Right.
like, "What?
Exactly.
What are you?" There were times where it felt like you were like flying around.
Correct.
Like,
Correct.
hey, Gyps.
Right, right.
High
Like
five.
the, like the
Hey, Trace.
sensory kind of, in lack of a better term,
Right.
just the sensory manipulation in a good way.
Yeah.
In a
In a
beautiful way.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was just phenomenal, because at no point did I feel like when my senses were kind of thrown off, was I frightened. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like I was just enthralled by it, and by the end of it, I was just so overwhelmed and empowered by it that I was like, "Can we do that again?" It's like, "Can I have some more cocoa or cacao?" Excuse me,
Cacao.
cacao.
And that's probably what some people have like a misunderstanding of what a cacao ceremony is. It creates that beautiful experience. So people say, "Oh, it's got to be a drug."
Yeah, no, listen, so every plant that's around us, the grass that we walk on every day, everything is alive. It's a living, breathing, entity. It's an energy. And any one of them have healing properties, and we can communicate with them. I mean, if you think about it, right? What moms or grandmas haven't spoken to their plants and all of a sudden they come to life, right?
That's true.
Just
My
someone told
grandma.
me a story a few days ago of how how they went to visit their mother-in-law, and she had a garden, a beautiful garden she was growing outside, but this one plant wouldn't grow. And in Spanish, she one day got so mad she started insulting the plant. She was like saying whatever to it. I won't repeat it. Saying
I would
in Spanish,
I would love to
"Hey."
hear that in
You're
Spanish.
right.
I
Wait, what
know.
did she say?
And then she said she slapped the plant
Oh,
and
dear.
said, "How dare you not grow?" Whatever. And she said 2 days later, it started to
Oh, really?
bud.
Bit tough love.
So it needed-
right.
I'm not going to water you if you don't start growing, dude.
Right.
Well, we don't call it tough love; we call it tough bud.
Okay. Little miracle grow right there.
Miracle grow, bad stuff. Bad.
But that's why all of these plants you can, even the food that you eat, one of the things that I love to make clear to people is that if you were to bless your food every day when you're cooking, just a simple blessing, whether it's mentally or verbally, it creates a difference in the food that you're eating. You wouldn't be afraid to be eating, and I'm going to be careful about this, but you wouldn't be afraid to be eating meat and this and that and all those things. Everything on this planet now has toxins in it. But if you speak to the plants, to whatever it is that you're eating, touching, you have a way of building a relationship with it so that it doesn't harm you. But people are too afraid, they don't believe, they won't allow that in. And, quite honestly, we've all, even myself, have been brought up in that energy of fear.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And when you have fear, that has a great impact, a very strong hold on you. And most of the time, that's what I'm working on with people is their fears. So in my ceremonies, things will come up. People don't want to go through, and that's okay. It's part of the process. But for any kind of shamanic work, you're working with what we call the shadow self, the dark side, all those things that we haven't wanted to deal with. And it can be tough. It's a rough ride, That's why when people go to the ayahuasca or they ask me about ayahuasca, I tell them, listen, you need to be prepared for it. You have to completely surrender and know that it's going to take you where it wants to take you. You don't have control over it. See, and the difference is that with ayahuasca, she is working you, but with the cacao, you're allowing what you want to come in or not. So
And it's funny you said she, which
did.
is, that's
On
where,
purpose.
and that's where exactly what you're saying is if you have a relationship with plants, the surrounding environment, and respect, it's a totally different story.
I wanted to ask you, Rocio, even after, because I love how you talked about how people should talk to their food, pray over their food. Is it
I just seen Hi, Linda Sauce. Hi, Gypsy Sauce. Well, I think I should put you on my pasta today.
even after, because we've all seen documentaries about how meat is made in this country and how brutally these animals are treated and stuff like that.
Yes.
Even after that process is made, what kind of language should you use? Is it are you thankful to that animal for the sacrifice that it made? What exactly are you telling an animal that you didn't have anything to do with the process of its
Right.
killing? Because I can understand if you were maybe raising these cattle or the chicken or what have you, you definitely have that relationship. But when you're completely separated from the killing,
The processing.
right?
Right.
How do you make that connection with food that you order from McDonald's or what have you?
well, I don't go to
don't.
McDonald's.
Oh, I know
I'll
you
just
don't, but
say.
like some of our listeners.
No, I know. But it's just saying a simple, blessing and a thank you. Thank you for the nutrition that you are bringing to me. Because at one point, thank you for the life, for giving up your life so that I can be fed. Because, listen, not everybody can afford to go to an organic store or have,
Right.
whatever. Because even fruits and vegetables are expensive nowadays. So, anyone can just simply use their intention, their faith in whatever that is, and simply say, bless this food that I'm about to receive. Thank you for the nutrition. Thank you for blessing my body. Thank you for healing my body. And those thank yous go a long way.
It all comes down to just respect,
Right.
and
It might
we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And it's just when you think it's getting weird, it's not that weird.
Right.
It's quite normal.
Yeah.
You
This is
yeah, we want to
interesting,
show this. You do. You haven't done this with me. I've never seen this. I know.
I did now.
You did have, right. My wife, Jennifer, was in her kind of last frustration of battling gluten and some other dairy allergies and some digestive issues.
Situation,
And she was really just in the last kind of bouts with it. And Rocio and I were talking, and Rocio was like, well, bring her by. I'm like, I don't know if Jen's going to really be up for this. She's pretty grounded. And subsequently, Jen went to visit Rocio several times and has changed. She changed her how she's been.
Right.
Between that and acupuncture, she's a different person. Now, does she still battle digestive issues? Yes. But what you've done with her has been short of a miracle. So,
Well, it was her willingness. It wasn't me. She was just open to it. She wanted the help. Like when I was sick, I was desperate.
yeah.
Please,
Anything.
I'm open, anything.
Yeah, really.
And so she's very accepting.
Yeah.
And
And now we're doing it together. We're like,
I know.
which is
it's
great.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold this up. Do you want me to hold it? Yeah, let me hold this up. Can you explain a little bit?
There's a game that looks like that.
It looks
What's
like
it called?
a
Fingernuts?
Horseshack test.
So
Right?
this is a painting that I learned through another colleague, and basically it's the way I do my readings. I was taught to do it as angel readings, and I work a lot with the angels, but for me now what's been coming through is a lot of people's guides and different types of energies, and it's made through acrylic paint. I will talk about the energies that you have in your body, like if you're doing yoga, so you're aware of the chakras, so we'll speak about the chakras and how they correspond to each angel and issues that you have in your life. If you look at that painting, on the right side and the left side, there is actually a picture of an indigenous being on both sides. I don't know, Matt, if you
Kind
can.
of pointing.
Yeah, he's looking out. You can see the blue is the mask. The gold on the top is like the hair or the wrap, the headdress that he's wearing. The overall picture is also a giant headdress on top of a person. There's many different things in that picture.
Right.
But people will sit down with me. I will take out stones. I will throw them with these, and I will also read cards or candles, anything that corresponds to this, and respond to people's questions. So
That's
Okay.
cool.
That's amazing.
Who did this painting?
I did this.
She
Who
did.
did?
Yeah, he did.
This is all part of her work.
Oh, so you don't get others to paint and then you read what's in their painting.
No, I'll do it for them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Very
it's
good.
generally I'll do it the night before because it needs to dry. Sometimes I'll do it right on the spot with
Right.
people.
Right.
But I do that, and then that other card that you saw.
That's
cool.
amazing.
Thank you
Rocio.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you
you
so
may,
much
you
for
may
having
have
me.
to. We may have to do a few more podcasts
Podcasts
with you,
I'd love to.
and maybe go mobile and go visit you for
yeah.
a little ceremony.
And,
And
how do people contact
Yeah.
you?
You can go onto Facebook. You can go onto my
Yep.
website.
the link is on our link right here
Okay.
to get in contact with Rocio La Rosa if you're in need. I know some people on our block have been trying to reach out to you, but they haven't done it yet. What's holding them back?
I
Holding them
know.
back? I don't know. So that's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yes,
Do
Facebook people. That's where I put all my events. So it's RLAROSA 444.
Okay.
And then my website. That's where all my information is.
And that we linked on there as well
Okay.
for you.
rociolarosa.com.
Rocio,
Keep on the good work.
Thank you so much for
love
having
you.
me.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for listening in. You can find us on Food and Beverage Podcast Podcast Network, amongst a whole bunch of other places. And we hope to see you guys soon. And thanks for listening in.
And we'll see you on the road next time.
Peace.
Piece of cake.